settle in and listen to our mixtape and know the music vanishes. Enjoy your buttons sandwiches.
Let's get into it, man. We'll give you a couple questions. We won't keep you too awful long. I really appreciate you coming on. First of all, it's kind of a big deal for me. Collective Soul is one of those bands that was extremely omnipresent in my high school years, and those, as everybody knows, are probably your most influential years when it comes to music. So I've kept this band with me my entire life, and just excited that you guys got new music coming out and everything that's happening on your end. Can you take a minute to kind of tell us how you first hooked up with the band and what those early days were like?
Yeah, the quintessential documentary comes out, and it's hard to tell the whole story, but we saw the first cut recently, and it's good. It's good. But no, man, Collective Soul is a small town story, on a level that nobody really understands. I don't really have a memory without knowing Ed and Dean. Ross, I would have been carpooling to Cub Scouts, not Boy Scouts. And Shane Evans, I met in 7th, 8th grade in the high school junior high band. So yeah, man, I didn't hook up with them. We were just all hooked up together by chance, fate, whatever you want to call it. In that little studio in Stockbridge, Georgia, where we all grew up, that was between the studio and the Rowland Brothers' father's church, my house, their house. You're talking about maybe a third of a mile, maybe a quarter mile. So we knew each other our whole lives. We were surrounded by each other's families. Their father knew my grandfather. It goes back generations. So it was more of a case of not how we hooked up. It was more of a case of, just a lot of music going on. Ed being head engineer at my father's studio, me and my buddies, including Dean, watching Ed work on his songwriting craft. And it's more of like by the end, I was the last person to join. I told him I'd play bass. And I told them I thought I could play bass, and they said, "Okay, let's do it. This will be about as strong as we can imagine our chemistry." So yeah, man. And then the first record was a little bit of a songwriter demo. Atlantic Records put their stamp on it, and then we were off to the races as a band, which is why the second record is called Collective Soul. We didn't feel like that was a band going into the studio to record a record. So yeah, a little bit of history on why that second record's self-titled. But yeah, man, I'm not exaggerating when I say I don't have a memory without knowing who Ed and Dean Rowland were.
So you guys are really more like a family. I mean,
it's absolutely family. Yeah, and just like every other family, there's good days and bad days, but we certainly are a family.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of guys, especially from the era when you guys got your start, we're starting to see a lot of them tour, but you guys are actually like going in the studio and creating new stuff. How has it changed over the years? Like, as far as the industry goes, have you guys noticed a lot of difference in what people expect out of you, or, things along those lines?
I mean, the industry, we can write a book on what I've seen in the last 30 years about, the evolution of the industry. When we started, it was still the exact same model that was, all the way back from the 60s, 70s. It was, big labels and radio was king, and big budgets and stuff like that. We saw that, we saw the end of that in the 90s. And now everything's evolved. It's a little different. Streaming technology is obviously going to be, it was always obviously going to be good for artists and listeners. Now we're in an era where, a lot of people are just partnering with other label services or even distributors and just doing it all themselves. The major labels are still a thing. But yeah, man, like I said, that's a whole master class or a book about the evolution of the record industry and where we are today. But yeah, man, as far as creating, that's just, again, part of how we grew up and just the individuals that we are. We don't make ourselves go in the studio. We don't overthink what our fans want. We kind of just assume that our fans will want whatever we think is cool, at this point is the way we look at it. But man, we're all creative guys. We sit down behind any instrument and we come up with ideas. And playing live is certainly one of the most joyous things we do. But just as equally, our love for recording and creating music is just as equal. Yeah, and like you said, yeah, sure, we've got lots of friends, lots of peers who don't create as much anymore. But man, it's just part of our DNA. We have to get in there and create, and we're in that level where it's like why not, man? So this double record coming out in May is one of the greatest experiences we had recording in Palm Springs, in Elvis's Palm Springs house. It couldn't have got any cooler. So we're excited. We always wanted a double record because we are pretty prolific, especially Ed. I mean, Ed's not going to stop writing songs. So we always wanted a double record, but yeah, here we go. 30-year anniversary, and we finally got our double record.
30 years, man. That's pretty awesome. Like you said, 30 years in the industry. What have, over the years, what's the fan reaction been like? Have you guys found like it grows or it stays pretty steady, or like how are the fans been?
Yeah, it seems like it's growing as we speak. It's like, and actually the industry folk that we're surrounded by will show us how, yes, Collective Soul is growing in popularity every day right now because of movies, TV, streaming, playlists. We just closed out, Shine was the song that closed out the Righteous Gemstones entire season. It was a 3-minute montage, 29 years after that song was released. So yeah, man, our popularity is growing, and live, we've always taken a lot of pride in how we present ourselves live. I'm sure there's some video people can find of maybe some not so proud moments, but
well,
in general, we take a lot of pride in it, and we are considered a good live band, and we're good. The fans are still there, enjoying it and giving us the energy to feed off of, and we enjoy doing it.
I think it's really cool and telling. You were talking about Shine, and I have a 20-year-old and a 18-year-old, and I was talking the other day with my wife, and I was talking about I was going to be on to interview you, and I think my son said, "Which band? What band?" I said, "Collective Soul." He's like, kind of gave me that on. I just pulled out the phone and I hit play on Shine, and instantly he's like, "Oh yeah, I know this." And I'm like, "Of course you do, man," because these songs have staying power. Like they don't feel like, I mean, they are a moment of the time they were created in, but they still seem relevant today. They still feel like you could release that stuff today and it would still be just as big a deal as it was then, I feel like. So I think it's fantastic that you guys are still creating, because we need good music, man. We need good. There's a lot of stuff out there that isn't so great, so we need some good music.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we came from the studio and we wanted to be known for our music. And I remember us as youngsters, early mid-20s, and Ed being 29 right when we signed to Atlantic Records. I remember what we were focused on. We wanted our songs to be timeless. We wanted to be known for our music. And guess what happened?
It worked.
Yeah, man. We weren't. It wasn't, hey, look at us, we're cool, we can get on stage. It was like, how do we create timeless music? How do we get better? How do we continue to improve? That's what our mindset was. I look back and I'm like, wow, well, that was kind of mature for some youngsters. But
yeah,
I think it was part of that growing up in the studio thing, where Ed was the engineer and we were taught to serve the song. So the song is paramount with what we're doing here. And we still do that today, man. So I'm excited for people to hear the new record, and can't wait to get back out on the road with, speaking of 30 years, Hootie and the Blowfish. We're on tour with them, and Edwin McCain. All three groups signed to Atlantic Records and released their first records 1994. So Go figure all that. All three bands from the South, too, just found ourselves signed to a record label in New York City. And good things happen for all of us. We've been friends all these years. Should be a super tour. Should be a really fun tour.
I'm looking forward. You guys are rolling through Cincinnati, which is where I'm at. And I'm super excited to come out and check it out this summer. You've been a band that I've always wanted to check out. I did a lot of moving around in my teen years, so I missed a lot of it then. And I missed you. I think you guys were here last year.
Yeah, we did play Cincinnati last year.
And I think a buddy of mine made it out, but I happened to be out of town that week, and I'm like, this is just not working out for me. And then I saw you guys were coming this year, and I'm like, all right, everything's going to work out just fine. So pretty excited to get out. And what a great lineup, too, by the way. Like, fantastic lineup.
It'll be big fun, man. It'll be big fun. The crowds know that we get together, and there's going to be an extra synergy involved between the crowds and the bands. I think it's going to be big fun.
Yeah. So you mentioned the album a couple of times. I want to talk about it for just a minute. This is a big one, guys. It's like 20 tracks. I've got to check some of it out. It's fantastic. As is always the case with you guys, the lyrics are really good. And I think that's kind of what makes like your music so timeless is not only is the music good, but the lyrics are relevant and good. The songs tell stories, which is, always a plus. What can the fans expect from this new album? Like you said, it's a double, so there's like 20 tracks on this thing. So,
we're super proud of it. We, if you're familiar with Collective Soul Records, I think you just kind of just are excited, and because we throw, it's one of the bands that I don't think people can specifically pigeonhole Collective Soul, especially in those first records.
Yeah.
People didn't know exactly where to put us because, again, we served the song and we had all these broad range of influences. So a Collective Soul record literally has some pop gems. It'll have some hard rock gems. It'll have, man, we got a swing tune on this new record. I really had so much fun. I was like, oh, me and Johnny are going to get to swing on this one, man. So I think it's an eclectic sound. We call ourselves a rock band. That to me is the biggest umbrella of music that we're in. So if you're a rock band, to me there can be all kind of subgenres that you want to divide that into. But I'd say what fans can expect is more for me, be more great music and original vibey sounds.
And there's a lot of I caught, now I could be wrong here, but a lot of like blues influences on this album too. Like there were some real bluesy sounding guitar riffs, and it was pretty cool.
It's all in rock and roll, man.
All
Blues
in rock
is
and
in
roll.
rock and roll too, man.
Yep. So real quick, just to hit on it, you've done some solo stuff as well. Do you want to take a moment to kind of let the people know about some of that?
Yeah, I released my first full-length CD, 2019. It's called Serengeti Drivers. Yeah, man, I started off on piano. When I play bass, I think of everything like a keyboard, like a piano. And yeah, when I sit behind a piano, a different side of me, and a lot of songs come out. So I'm producing a lot of people right now at Reel to Reel Studios in Jonesboro, Georgia, right near the airport in Atlanta. Man, there's just, there's all of us have these multi-creative sides to us. Dean's done some solo work. Ed's done some solo work. We're just, it's music, man. It's powerful, and it pops in your head. It's like, sometimes I think, well, is it worth my time? And then I analyze the songs, and I got a lot of them down. Obviously, in the old days, you used to have to carry around a little mini cassette recorder, and I would record ideas. But man, if you looked at my iPhone right now, you see a long list of ideas and songs that I've started. So yeah, I'm currently even like putting together the next solo record.
That's cool.
But mainly it's just a different side of me, a little more poppy, funky, a little bit of blues rock as well sometimes.
That's cool. So you had mentioned that your father had a recording studio. My stepfather had a recording studio growing up. So I'm imagining that music was a big part of your life, your entire life. Were there like early influences, things you just heard right from the start and you're like, this is what I want to do? Were there any bands that just really spoke to you?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember the moment of this is what I want to do. I just think I just never did anything else, you know? I was always 100% into music, piano lessons at 8, drum lessons at 8. By the time I'm 12 and 13, I'm not really even doing lessons. I'm just playing every instrument, picked up the guitar around 13. Uh, yeah, so yeah, absolutely there was music around me my whole life. Yeah, I think a lot of people had parents that had good taste in music and they had albums around, but I think a lot of people didn't.
Yeah.
So, man, my earliest days, I remember the Eagles records. I remember my dad. I mean, Jimmy Buffett records. You know, those records go underestimated because of Margaritaville and Cheeseburger Paradise. But those, I mean, he's one of the greatest poets of American common, you know, modern American poetry. Yeah, man, just all kind of good stuff. Pure Prairie League, Poco. The Southern stuff, Allman Brothers was there. And Jackson Brown, I remember, you know, those were albums that at 8, 9, 10 years old were at my disposal and I was listening to those things. So again, those are bands that serve the song, you know, so it's all about the strength of the song. And it was all around me. Our side room was a rehearsal space for my dad's band. So I had every instrument sitting over there in a room, and my parents supported it. Of course, they supported it, but that's another key of everybody in the band. We all had great parents that supported what we did, and you know, and without them, we probably wouldn't be a band either.
Yeah, I've always felt really blessed growing up because of the diversity of music that was around me, that I was introduced to my whole life, and like you said, some people don't get that, and I always feel bad for them. Like, there's so much great stuff out there you should be checking out. And so, you know, I try to give it to my kids, as I imagine you try to give to your kids. And I get to give my kids Collective Soul. So it works out really well for me.
The Beatles, I mean, my dad was the first one to show me the Beatles, and that's still the strongest thing really around me as far as Beatles. And he had Elton John, he had the double album, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I remember that when I was super young. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that.
Mm-mm. I have Beatles lyrics on my arm right now.
There you go.
Yeah, my mom was a huge Beatles fan. So when she passed away, you know, I got some lyrics on my arm to kind of. Elton John was one I was raised on. Simon and Garfunkel. And my stepdad gave me Pink Floyd and Zeppelin. So I went the gamut. You know, it was all over. And like I said, growing up in the 80s and the 90s, I got my own stuff, which I just got to carry it all with me. So luckily today I get to speak to people like you, and you know, it just makes my life that much better that I get to talk to the people that I grew up listening to and kind of admiring what they did. So I really appreciate you giving us some time. I want to encourage everybody to check out the new album. May 17th, I believe,
that's right,
is when it's dropping. And you guys are getting ready to head out on tour. Like, that starts soon, right? Is that?
Yeah, we got a date or two in late April. Early May. But the tour officially starts end of May. We'll be busy all the way through to October.
And you can find tour dates on their website, which we will post links to all that. When the album comes out, I believe we will have a link where you can actually go buy the album, so you can check that out as well. But I encourage everybody, if you get a chance, go out and see them. Definitely check out the album. Like I said, I got a little spoiled. Got to hear some of it. Very happy with everything I heard, so I encourage everyone to check it out. And Will, thank you. I really appreciate you giving us a few minutes today.
Yeah, man. Thank you for your time as well. Enjoyed it. Let it flow, man. That's the song I like on the new record. So let it flow, man.
There you go.
Thank you for watching the mixtape. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the bell icon for notifications when new videos come out. And remember to always stay awesome.